Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. All right, before we get started on our subtracting of fractions. No. Before we get started on our subtracting of fractions, I want to cover one thing. That is on the task cards, problem number 5. Asks you to find the range of a set of data. Some people answered that question without having any idea what range meant. So I'm going to show you quickly, since you didn't ask, I'm going to show everyone quickly. What is range, Isabella? Shh. Yeah. Good. It's the space in between. In this case, it's the largest number, and you subtract the smallest number. The largest number, subtract the smallest number. Now that you know what range is, nobody should miss question number 5. Jonas, what is the largest number here? 68. Jonas, what is the smallest number here? 39. 18. So the range would be 50. The largest number on a piece of data, on our data set, subtract the smallest number in our data set. That is how you find range. If you have questions on a question, don't just put an answer down. I had somebody, there's one question that's not multiple choice. You have to actually write an answer down. Not people in the last class putting A. Like there's not even an A there. You have to answer it. It's an answer. All right, so today we're going to, okay. Today we're going to talk about subtracting fractions. I'm going to do 3, count 3 problems with you today, going over each step of subtracting fractions. You will have an assignment today. Only 6 problems. 3 adding, 3 subtracting. We're going to keep doing fractions until I'm certain that everyone can get 100% on adding and subtracting fractions. Why? Because I love you guys.
Thank you.
Well, most of you. All right, so let's look at the first problem.
Young kids. She passing no.
Jacob J., can I subtract these fractions how they're written?
No.
Why not?
Because the denominators are different.
The denominators are different. I'm glad everyone's watching.
Yeah.
Good. So what are my denominators, Jacob J.?
4 and 8.
4 and 8. I need to find the least common denominator. 8, 16, 24, 4, 8, 12. Oh, boom. 8 is my least common denominator. Some of us are about to have some problems. Okay, shh. So we need to change both of these fractions so that they have a denominator of 8 without changing the value. Jacob J., do either of those 2 fractions already have a denominator of 8?
Yes.
Which one?
4 eighths.
4 eighths already has a denominator of 8. Jacob J., I leave 4 eighths the same. I need to change
6 eighths.
this. I'm multiplying by 2, and this becomes 6 eighths. 6 eighths, and I always make sure I go back and I look at my sign, because I've graded some papers from the other class, and people added when they're supposed to subtract because they didn't go back and check their sign. 6 eighths subtract 4 eighths is what, Jacob J.?
2 eighths.
2 eighths.
3 eighths.
2 eighths.
Calling me now. Go.
Yeah, go. Okay, so we have 2 eighths. Now we need to simplify 2 eighths. So we need to find the greatest common factor. I'm not playing. Go. Between 2 and 8. Our factors of 2 are what, Jacob?
1 times 2.
1 times 2. What else?
2 times 1.
Okay, same thing, the same two factors. Factors of 8, Jacob.
1 times 8, 4 times 2, 2 times 4. Oh, wait.
Okay, so that's it. Jacob, what's the greatest common factor? The biggest one they have in common?
2.
2. I take my greatest common factor and I divide both my numerator and denominator by 2. And Jacob J., what is my answer?
1/4.
1/4. So the difference between 3/4 and 4/8 is 1/4. Thank you, Jacob J. It's been a pleasure working with you. Second one. You can't start the clapping for yourself. All right, we have 1/4. Subtract 1/7. Alyssa, can I subtract these fractions like they're currently written?
No.
Why not, Alyssa?
Because they're not the same denominator.
Because they're not the same denominator. I cannot add or subtract fractions unless they have the same denominator. So, Alyssa, what are my denominators in this fraction? In these fractions, what are my denominators?
4 and 7.
4 and 7. So I need to find the least common denominator. And what do you think it's going to be, Alyssa? $28. Awesome sauce. So I need to change both of these fractions so that they have a denominator of 28 without changing the value. Alyssa, do either of them have a 28 as a denominator yet? No. So I need to multiply these fractions by something that equals 1 without changing the value. So what should I multiply 1/4 by? 4 times what equals 28? 7. So I have to multiply this by 7/7. My numerator is 7. What should I multiply 1/7 by, Alyssa? 3. 7 times what is 28? 1, 2, 3, 4. Y'all next to join them. So Alyssa, what is my new numerator? 1 times 4 is 4. I go back and I check my sign. It is a subtraction problem. So Alyssa, 7/28 subtract 4/28 is 3/28. Now we need to see, Alyssa, if I can simplify this fraction. I need to find the greatest common factor for 3 and 28. So Alyssa, what are my factors of 3?
3 and 1.
Good. What else?
2 and 6.
No, 2 and 6 does not multiply together to equal 3.
2 and 3.
2 and 3 multiplies together equals 6. The only ones we have are 1 and 3 because it's a prime number. What about 28? 1 and 28, obviously. 2 and 14, not 3.
4 and 7.
4 and 7. Good, and that's all the factors. What's the greatest one they have in common, Alyssa? 1. If the greatest common factor is 1, your answer is already simplified. It is in lowest terms already. Get used to this because we're going to do this every day until everybody understands how to do this. We're going to film a video and have an assignment on adding and subtracting fractions every single day. Let's look at the next one. Shh. This isn't a participatory. 9/10 subtract 1/4. It's almost like there's lightning. 9/10 subtract 1/4. Brady, can I subtract that the way it's currently written?
No.
No, why not, Brady?
Because the denominator is not right.
The denominators are not the same. I need to find the least common denominator for 10 and 4. Have any idea what it might be, Brady?
40.
Well, let's check. 10, 20, 30. Well, 40 is there. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. 20 is there. We could use 40, Brady. You are exactly right. However, if we want to go the smallest route, the less likely to have to simplify is if we use the smallest, the least common denominator. So I'm going to change this so they're both over 20. Brady, is either one of them over 20 already?
No.
No. Put the lid on that, please. I don't want it to spill when I throw it down the hall. So what do I need to multiply 9/10 by?
You need to multiply it by 2.
Good. 2 over 2. And what's my numerator?
18.
18. What do I need to multiply 1/4 by?
It is by 4 or 2?
4 times 4 is 5. Good. And 1 times 5 gives me what, Brady?
5.
5. I go over, I look at my sign. My sign is subtraction. Brady, what is my answer?
That is 8.
Good. 13/20ths. 13/20ths. That can't be simplified. If I don't want to do all the factors of each number, I can take my factors of the smallest one and see if my factors of the smallest one are also factors of the biggest one. So does 13 go into 20? No. So they can't have anything in common because the only two factors 13 has is 1 and 13. So the greatest common factor is 1. And if the greatest common factor is 1, that problem is already simplified. Questions? You have to smile. It's a rule. Yeah. Boom shakalaka, peace out, God bless, love ya. Do something kind, subscribe, save the bees.